right, day 2 back at GoSec 23. Sitting down with Mazen from 137. Is it 137 ID or 137?
So it's 137, but
Okay.
we work in identity platform.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mazen, that's actually your first time at
Correct.
GoSec.
Yes.
And what's your thoughts so far?
It's very interesting. I've actually went to a few talks. I've actually learned a few things, even though we're in cybersecurity, but I did learn a few things. So that's
Right.
definitely very interesting.
And we're going to get to what actually 137 does. But I wanted because I know it was your first time here. I wanted to get a sense of what you thought of the event so far. So what talks have you been to so far?
So I went to Forge Rock's talk. I went to Sale Points.
Okay.
So they're talking about like how they're using AI and machine learning to actually, improve cybersecurity. Not really at where the data points are, where they're capturing the data, but what are they actually doing with that data, and how can they do better recommendations for any organization, and how to prevent or optimize their systems.
Okay. So the second day here, I'm assuming you have a few other sessions you're gonna attend to today.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, one on passwords actually.
Ah,
yeah.
Who's that one with? I'm
not sure. I think it's a GoSecure.
Yeah, that's Dr. Adrienne, right?
Yeah.
That's on that one. Yeah, because I did an interview with her.
Okay.
I think you might have seen that one.
Possibly, yeah.
So that's a good one. She's gonna talk about some good stuff there.
Nice.
Okay, let's talk about you. Let's talk about 137. Tell me first of all, what your role is at 137 and what they do.
All right, yeah. So I'm the head of product at 137. So 137, we've been working on this digital identity platform for the past few years.
Okay.
And it's really exciting. I mean, it's addressing real world problems using high tech, but addressing real world problems like anything that's regarding to cybersecurity, fraud, data breach, compliance and privacy, even user experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how would this be applied? If you can explain some of how the product is
So I
used.
mean today, all the cybersecurity best practices, they tell you go to zero trust, MFA, passwordless,
right.
Step-up authentication, adaptive authentication, what you do with provisioning, new employees, for example.
Right.
So our platform actually encompasses all those features. And what we do is, instead of in our current day, like what we're doing today is most organizations are still using username passwords to authenticate their users. Or if you're like to your customers, you make them fill out forms, the same forms over and over again for an additional service.
Yeah.
So what we do is we actually, from the get-go, we make sure that the person you're dealing with is the real person. So we link everything to the identity of a person. Okay. So for example, a person has a digital wallet, we provide a digital wallet.
Is this leveraging blockchain?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So with our digital wallet, we basically link the wallet to the biometrics of the person.
Ah, there you go.
And then the credentials are issued by whoever is issuing the credential, whether it's an employer will issue you your badge, your work badge, whether it's a website, they can give you access to the website, a bank can give you your access. They issue this credential directly to that person, and they link it directly to your identity. So you don't have to actually worry, is this person really logging in?
It's already been authenticated through different hierarchies already.
Correct.
Very interesting, man.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And the blockchain part is where we basically, no data goes on the blockchain.
Okay.
What the blockchain is used for is mainly for revocation, to make sure, so if let's say you received a credential from your employer, and if you leave your employment for whatever reason, that credential will be revoked, and that will appear on the blockchain. So anyone who's verifying your credential will say, oh, this credential now has been revoked, so it cannot be used anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, this is where I find that it gets interesting, right? Because like you said, passwords, and Dr. Adrienne talks about that as well. Like passwords are kind of like passé, right? We need to find a way past this, right? But at the same time, there have been technologies there before that have used biometric, right? I actually used to have systems that would require you to put a finger. Look at our phones, right? Look, if you look at iPhone, it's facial recognition. Before it was fingerprint. If we look at trying to apply that across the board now, like logging into your computer, Apple does the same thing, right? I know Windows does the same thing as well, but how about applying it more diversely across the board, right?
That's it.
I'm not sure why that hasn't been done yet, but biometric I find is the best way to go. Like who can replicate probably with AI now we really have real AI, and that's being developed more and more. Probably there's going to be ways to circumvent that too, but that will be a problem that we'll deal with when it comes. But in the meantime, I think this is the best way to authenticate someone,
100%.
right? So where are you seeing these use cases, and what you like? Where are you guys applying it most in this particular case?
Well, I'll get to that, but before I would say we go even beyond MFA. See, MFA still will depend on your phone number or your email to verify if it's you. But these can be spoofed. We all know that.
Right.
I mean, data breaches are still happening. Frauds are happening even with MFA. So we go beyond that. Where no, we don't need MFA. We need your identity. You need to prove a live proof of presence.
Right.
So we'll verify that if you're trying to access, let's say, a privileged access here, we'll take your live biometric, a live selfie compared to your ID badge, the picture on your ID badge, to actually give you access to something. So we go way beyond MFA.
Okay.
Yeah. So where have been using? So we both have a workforce solution, and we also for customers. For workforce, it's, I guess for now, the best case scenario, because an employer will automatically authenticate an employee the first time they start their job. So as soon as they verify that that's a real person, they can at this point issue them a verifiable credential, which is that credential that's the work badge that will reside on the user's device, on the employee's device. And so that's already kind of like an identity assurance level 3, the highest identity assurance level, because the employer physically verified that this is the real person. So once you have an IA level 3 credential in your wallet, you can do whatever you want with it. Right. At the access applications within your workplace or other services. You see.
Okay.
So that's a great use case here.
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, zero trust, passwordless, step-up authentication is all by default included within our platform.
Okay.
And then for customers, this is where the beauty is you can reuse those credentials. So, for example, if you are a customer of a telco, for example, and you know how telcos now, they offer you services like, let's say, to entertainment like Netflix, Disney Plus. What you can do is that same credential that the telco has given you, you can use it to log into those entertainment packages without actually having the telco and that third party to actually start doing APIs between each other. It can be done directly through that verifiable credential because it's been issued by the telco and it's already valid.
Right. So how long has 137 been around?
So we've been around since 2019.
Okay.
In the first few years, really, it was R&D working on the technology. And then in 2021, we actually had a pilot with WestJet and TELUS.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. What we did is basically the trusted boarding.
Right.
A passenger can download our wallet, get their e-ticket and their boarding pass as a verifiable credential directly into their wallet. Now, the first time you're traveling, you need to go to the check-in agent at WestJet's check-in agent. Well, they will upgrade you to an identity assurance level 3. They'll validate your real passport to your digital passport in your wallet.
Very cool.
And once it's done, that's it. It's forever, well, until whatever the airline decides that you're an IA level 3. So now you can actually go in through security, get to the gate. There's a stand over there.
Right.
It takes a picture of your face. You scan your wallet, which has your digital passport and your boarding pass. It will make sure that your face matches your passport picture.
Right.
It will make sure that your passport information matches the boarding pass information.
Right.
And you can just access the plane without actually going through a person.
So do we need to go through security more?
No. Well, yes, you do need to do so, but it definitely accelerates the whole security process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are they still using this technology?
This was a pilot that we did with them. Of course, it requires Transport Canada needs to approve it.
Okay.
And, it goes through all those.
So it's still in that process.
Exactly.
So to speak?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Tell us, WestJet, get going. I could use that. Mazen, thank you so much. That was very interesting. Next year we need to get you in a session to talk about some of the.
I would love to, definitely.
And we need to get you a booth here.
For sure.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Please hang up and try again.